All right, we're on cam. The show has started. It's a Wednesday edition of the slate, the highest rated edition of the slate. Yours truly, Emerson Latzia, Nick Fryer, and Jeff's office. Jeff and Jeff's office. producer Heyman, AC on the ones and twos. Man, we got a strong 30 minutes ahead. It's jam-packed. It is full. It is thick. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great. Seems like you got something on your mind, though.
I do.
Okay. Is it the Jaguars loss?
Yeah, because I still don't have my effing cell phone that I left in the back of an Uber on Saturday night. I want my cell phone back.
Jeff, I texted him after a segment the other day, and I think it was Monday, and I got like the green text, and I was like, did Emerson, is he like messing with me by like blocking me or something like that? I was freaking out. I was like, what is this? Then I go into the office and hear, oh yeah, you lost your phone.
Yeah.
That rattled me though.
I was going to ask you if the Uber driver texted you back, maybe like, was trying to be friends
No,
with
my
you.
phone. So my phone by the end of the night was dead. And listen, I had such a damn good time. That stadium was incredible. It sucked the Jags lost, but the Jags are going to be winners entering next season. We all know the future's bright in Duval. The fans were incredible. They got me so drunk, dude. Like before the game, during the game, after the game. They were so nice, though. Like Midwesterners, you hear, oh, they're like the nicest people ever. They absolutely were. And I cannot wait to return back there. Yeah, I woke up at 5 a.m. I had to catch a flight. I said, where the hell's my cell phone? Finally hunted down the Uber driver. Said, yeah, man, I'll mail it to you, brother. He kept calling my wife brother because apparently my buddy Jason, who I was in the Uber with, it's very blurry for me at this time, said I kept screaming from the back of the Uber, hell yeah, brother. So the Uber driver's like, I got your phone, brother. Anyhow,
that's on brand.
It's like a virus with you, man. Like this hell yeah, brother thing.
I know. You know what, man? It's positive, and when you say it, people are like, dude, this guy just likes to have a good time. He does. And I do. And it's down in the mailbox, apparently downstairs. I just don't have a key to the mailbox. So I have to wait for my wife to get home. She controls the mail in this house.
All right, been good for you. It's like a cleansing.
Yeah, no, it has been. I've been very productive over the past 3 days, believe it or not. All right, let's dish out some productive bets. Okay. Wow, dude, it's back to like a 1-point game. Let's start there with Bengals Chiefs then. I mean, Jeff, the line keeps moving back and forth. And I think you and Pierce kind of called it this morning. A lot of this is basically depending on the health of Patrick Mahomes, which today he practiced. So look at this, Chiefs now just a 1-point underdog, like at home. Like what bet is most intriguing to you right now when you look at this on Wednesday?
Yeah. So, I mean, this line opened at +1 Bengals.
Yep.
It got all the way up to +2.5 in spots. I don't know if the DraftKings Sportsbook had ever got there, but it certainly did in other spots. And, -2.5 Bengals. And now it's at -1 Bengals. I think what you saw is when it got to +2.5, we already, that was the Patrick Mahomes injury news. But at that point, we also knew that Mahomes was also most likely to play, and that the high ankle injury probably wasn't as bad as the one he had in 2019, which he also played through. So then I think you saw some buyback on Kansas City. You could see this fluctuate again, though. I mean, I feel like, if this closes at like +2 or -2 Bengals, excuse me, I keep getting them. God, I'm just so used to seeing the Bengals underrated as underdogs. Seeing them as favorites is jarring.
They're not going to be underrated anymore. They can't be.
If this closes at -2 Bengals, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think it's going to get above the key number 3 or anything like that. Not with Mahomes practicing now and obviously likely to play. But obviously we've seen a little bit of evening out here, and again, there was some Chiefs buyback, but a lot of money came in on the Bengals at the start, and I think what you're seeing now is you'll probably even see like this could even just end at a pick 'em with more people just trying to get on the Chiefs, thinking they're the underrated side now. I still side with the Bengals here. I just think that when you look at how this game is going to go, I think it'll be close, but. The Chiefs, not a mobile Mahomes. They weren't good moving the ball in the second half with Mahomes with a busted ankle against the Jags. You've got, more of a West Coast offense, as we talked about this morning as well. And just so many good matchups for the Bengals to take care of, I think, with Jamar Chase, Higgins. I mean, let's not forget, they're the team that won this matchup earlier. I just side with the Bengals again. And I think anything under 3 is fine.
What do you think here, Fryer? Like, to me, the pressure is on the Chiefs. The pressure is on the Chiefs in this game because their status as like the team to beat in the AFC every year is at stake. The Bengals should be more relaxed. Who knows? Chiefs might tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys on this one, the Bengals for sure. My one question though, Jeff, is that I've been thinking about seeing this drop down to 1 because obviously, like I said, it was at 2.5. Do you think there's a possibility that this ends up flipping over and then we see this maybe move up to +2 for the Bengals? Because I still think, look, go with the Bengals money line. You're fine. What's that right now? -125. No reason to get cute or anything like that. But I'm starting to wonder if people start getting too much faith in Mahomes, which I do think it would be too much faith because dealing with an ankle injury. We just saw what happened with Josh Allen, as much it was in the snow. Like, the Bengals are going to take care of business. I do trust their defense in some capacity. And then I don't trust Mahomes' ankle necessarily. And if he's out for at any period of time in this game, like, the Jaguars realistically should have taken advantage of that. Like, forget all like the sputtering and stuff that happened earlier in the game. What happened in like the last, like what was it, 8 minutes or whatever, whenever that fumble was? I mean, when do we ever see a fumble like that? No one touched him. It just, I'm not trying to make you relive it all, Emerson, but
no, it's all good.
That, and then the pass that Trevor Lawrence made too, that got intercepted, the one-hand interception. Look,
he also had that deep one to Christian Kirk. And we were like in that end zone that Christian Kirk, people were like, at first were like, oh, they overthrew that. That was a perfect ball to Christian Kirk. He just couldn't hang on.
How many things had to go wrong? And they still ended up covering. They still lost by 7 points. So I have no problem like backing the Bengals in this one. But I am curious, Jeff, if you think that it ends up flipping at some point by the time before Sunday.
I think what you're going to see from now till then is like again, the big rush to get on Cincinnati and get in on this ankle injury was like early in the week. But now, again, he's practicing. Like, he's already said he's going to play. The news like can't really go anywhere but up for Kansas City. And I think you're going to see a lot of people all of a sudden be like, oh, well, it's Kansas City at home. I think, I don't know if it'll get to +2, but like, I think if it ends at where it started at like +1, like I said, I kind of think like this could end at a pick 'em, but if it ends at +1, I mean, it's basically the same thing. I mean, when we're talking about like 1 point, it's not a big deal really, especially once it's under like 2.5, 3. So if this ends at like +1 again, I would not be shocked at all. And that's, if your Bengals better, I think that's what you want to see, quite frankly. Let's get some people getting back in on Kansas City, either get you a better number and just get you again, that like the Bengals in that spot where they've been road underdogs, been so productive. So
yeah, I think patience is the best thing for you right now. I mean, look, if this goes somehow and it goes back to the Bengals losing a point, maybe even 1.5 points back to 2.5, like, yeah, you're going to lose some value, but I do think it's like, we're taking risks here.
If you're interested in investing in the Bengals, like right now, I would wait. Absolutely. Like you said, what's the worst case? It goes to like 1.5 or 2, really not in a much worse spot than you are now. But the added benefit is I think there's a good chance you'll get better odds at the very least to take them on the money line, or potentially even get to a spot where maybe you could even grab 2 points. Who knows? But I think as a Bengals better, you like where it's potentially headed.
Yeah, and that's what. Sorry, one more thing. That's kind of what I mean, because I think with the Bengals, unless somehow they get a few points, I think money line is the way to go. And if those goes up to 2.5, then maybe we see, maybe it's at -145 like the Eagles are right now in that game. Still, like, we're still in a spot where it's a decent bet, it's a decent number, and I think it's worth the risk because I don't think it's going to go in that direction.
I was just going to say, DK Sportsbook tweeted out a few minutes ago, a little graphic, Super Bowl odds movement here. Before playoffs, Chiefs were +350. Bengals were +800. After the wild card round, Chiefs go to +300. Bengals stay at +800. Now they both have the same odds to win the Super Bowl at +265. Jeff, did you say this morning you like the over? It was at 47 this morning during the sweat. Now at 47 and a half here.
Yeah, I don't really like that it's climbing, to be honest. So,
yeah, because
even honestly, even at 47, like, having looked at this game a little bit more today, I like the total for me. I don't really want to bet against Mahomes and Burrow putting up points, but at the same time, like, I almost look at this total. I think the fact that it's gone up almost gives me a chance to flip here now and just talk about the under a bit, because I mean, like, you've got a Kansas City Chiefs team probably going to be more committed to the run. Inside like Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, he can still be effective and he will be, but again, like, you can't, when those big plays often happen when guys are outside the pocket. Like, I think you get more of a dink and dunk style offense, and they already had, some end arounds, some short screens. They're going to do that stuff anyways, but if there's a little bit more emphasis on it, it's just going to kill clock a little bit more. Both these teams, surprisingly enough, we're under teams. I mean, like, fairly significant ones too. So, just in terms of their hit rate, I think at 47.5, that was kind of like, a pretty key number for me. And, now it's gotten up. I mean, again, kind of a good maybe time to just flip and take the under.
Yeah. What do you think here, Nick? Both offenses tend to run like white hot, but like playoff pressure, You got some cold weather could lead to a game going surprisingly low, as we saw in the Bengals last weekend.
Yeah, the cold weather is definitely a thing that I was going to touch on. I think it was 23 degrees last I checked is what the expected temperature is going to be at game time. And looking at the market movement on this one too, the over is the public play right now at 70% of the bets. But when you look at looking for the sharp money, 40% of the handle on 30% of the bets is going towards the under. So clearly the sharps are in on the under on this one. That's kind of where I'm leaning at this stage too. The other thing is too, I mean, you guys, we've been talking about it a ton, and everybody knows with Mahomes, don't trust him at all. I've been thinking about going at the under on his passing yards prop right now. Between the two player props that I'm leaning on in this game is the under on his passing yards prop, and then Kelsey over on his receiving yards prop, because I do agree we're going to see more dink and dunk, but I still think that he's going to be able to get Kelsey in some of these mid-range passes. And looking at some of Kelsey's numbers too, what was it? So only 5 tight ends have gone over this number versus Cincinnati this season. But you look at some of the recent games against Cincinnati, Dawson Knox, he did not go over this number, but he had 65 yards on 5 for 7 receiving in what was a rough game for Josh Allen, and obviously in the snow. The week before that, Mark Andrews, again, not over Kelsey's prop, which is set at 76.5 last I checked. He got to 73 yards though on 5 for 10 receiving in that game. Did not have his normal starting quarterback there. And then the week before that, again, also the Ravens, Isaiah Likely, or I guess it was 2 weeks before, Isaiah Likely had 103 yards on 8 for 13 receiving. So I think that Kelsey, right now I'm leaning more towards going over with Kelsey's receiving yards prop, but I do think Mahomes attacking the under is a reasonable option too. I would look at the numbers a little bit more there.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing Mahomes up there for under passing yards right now for prop, but I see Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's at least currently listed 276 and a half, which, Jeff, in 3 career games against Kansas City, we know his record. And I don't believe it's a fluke, like, at all, his record against the Chiefs. And they weren't blowouts, but they're all very close games, including an AFC Championship, last year in overtime. But like he's averaged 327 passing yards per game. Like, and if there's anything like we know about this dude, like, he shows up when the money's on the table, dude.
Yeah, it's not, and I don't even think Joe Burrow, you're right. He's just a good quarterback. Like he's shown up like in every game since he got smushed by the Browns. So I think you don't have to worry about performance. I think it's almost more of a matchup thing too with the Bengals. I think they like dropping Joe Burrow back a little bit. You got a bit of an inexperienced secondary. They're talking a little bit of smack about them last, going into the regular season this year. And Jamar Chase, it was almost a perfect day. It was like 7 for 8 targets, 97 yards. T. Higgins found the end zone. That game was interesting. Like, there weren't like a ton of splashy lines, but they just sort of banged them up everywhere. Like Tyler Boyd had a decent day. Irwin even got involved. So yeah, I don't even know what Hayden Hurst did there, but it wouldn't shock me if he had a good game. I mean, he actually didn't. He was like the one receiver who didn't, but he's a player who could definitely be pivotal this week too. So the Burrow passing line is interesting. My first inclination is take the under, but that's probably just one I'm going to stay away from. I do think that, Kansas City probably will be seeing what the Bengals did in the run last week and just try and stop stuffing that. But what we've seen from the matchups between these 3 teams, or these 2 teams in the last 3 matchups, I should say, Burrow's dropped back and kind of just been able to do whatever he wants. So it's an interesting total. I kind of lean under there, but there's a couple other props I like better than that one for sure.
Okay, other props in this game, because I'm getting ready to head to 49ers Eagles, unless you want to.
Yeah, no, quickly. I mean,
okay.
So, we talked about the Kelsey prop. Why do I have touchdowns up?
Oh God, what is even is that reception number up? 14 receptions against the Jaguars. That was so painful to watch.
Yeah.
Kelsey's?
Even with Chad Henne in there, dude, that Chad Henne revenge drive, 98 yards, dude.
Sorry, I'm being a terrible host right now. I haven't even been.
No, you're not the host. I am. That's why I had. That's why I'm teeing you up on something that you.
The screen share host. There's Kelsey's, anyways. But yeah, in terms of props, I really like Isaiah Pacheco this week, over 47.5 rush yards. 12 carries last week was super efficient. I can't see the Chiefs going away from that with Patrick Mahomes all banged up. And I don't think we have the rush attempts out yet, but when we do, we do have rush attempts. Yeah, over 11.5. I was going to say anything with the 12, take the over there. I like Pacheco's props quite a bit.
That's a good one. He had
That's a
12
good call.
carries last week, Jeff. He racked up 95 yards. He's gone over 50 rushing yards in 9 of his last 10 games. And while Cincinnati's run defense has been pretty good lately with Mahomes on a bum ankle, dude, that should open up a hell of a lot more opportunities for that kid.
Agreed.
Nick, what do you got? Anything else you got from Bengals Chiefs?
I don't have another one to add, but I will say I think that Jeff's Pacheco call, which by the way, born and raised in a little Portugal, I always thought it was Pacheco, so this has always thrown me, but I think that's a really good call.
Okay, all right. Well, Nick, take me to Eagles 49ers here, man. I mean, we just talked about the incredible quarterback matchup that we have with Bengals and Chiefs, but here we're talking a duo that's combined 22-1 this season in games that they've started. I believe they're the youngest. This is the youngest quarterback matchup in NFC Championship game history. Like it's wild. So like an early lean that you have here for like a game bet. What do you got?
So for a game bet right now, look, I said minus 145 before. Like I'm willing to wait for the Bengals to go up to that to see if things are going to shift in the other direction. If it gets to minus 130 right away, then okay, maybe you don't wait much longer. But with the Eagles right now, that's at minus 145. I'm still comfortable with that number, and it looks like the sharps are too. I don't want to go and mess with the spread in this game just because I do think it can get a little screwy. Because as much as I think the Eagles can survive Jalen Hurts like being down for a stretch, I still think that when we're talking about the spread, it's going to get a little bit dicey too. And with the 49ers too, they are very good against the spread. Obviously, that's resulted in a lot of wins as well, but not necessarily going to be a guarantee in this game. And when you look at the market movement too, it kind of supports my line of thinking. 54% of the bets, so slightly a public bet, but not overwhelmingly, but it's definitely a sharp bet because it's getting 68% of the handle. So when we're looking at it from just a game perspective, not getting into the props or anything, my lean right now is just take the Eagles on the money line. Don't get cute with the spread.
I mean, Jeff, looking at the total is like, this kind of screams like an under game when you really dive into these, like how damn good these two defenses are, dude.
I know. Like, I do think there's scenarios here where the Eagles could maybe push to get up to 27 points, but like, it's hard for me to project it against the 49ers. I think if the Eagles do make this game like a 30-22, 30-23 kind of game, it's because Brock Purdy maybe like threw a pick six or they got some kind of like fumble recovery touchdown. I just don't see the Eagles like running the ball consistently against San Francisco. The big plays may be there with AJ Brown, but like even those scenarios, like you've got to figure, maybe the 49ers have gotten ahead and like it's kind of a closer, low scoring game. So yeah, it does kind of scream under as well. Hate to be the under guy in like both these games, but I don't know, man. It feels hard to project. If I was going to be looking at one of these teams, to go to maybe take an over on like the team total, the Eagles would definitely be it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, these defenses are just so good, and in certain facets, they're so dominant. Like the Eagles against the pass, and then even against the run, they've been better. So down the stretch, and then I just don't know how Brock Purdy is going to hold up against the secondary. It's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's going to scheme some things up and make his life easy as always, but he's still got to make those throws to Kittle and Ayuk over the middle. Yeah, I think the under here is probably still played. And then this line hasn't moved at all either. So
which tells you what, Jeff?
Well, I just think that this one is less. This is why I'm almost more inclined to take the over, because I feel like less people are going to be on it. And I feel like everyone's starting to think, the same thing as what we're talking about. And I do think there's more potential, but again, you don't have to bet every line. These, again, like just to hammer this home, we're down to 2 teams. We're the playoffs. We have a lot of information. These are the most efficient lines we're getting all year kind of thing. So like, I would rather just take the matchup and really try and dissect that. And then I can come to a decision. The over-unders are, they can hinge on so many things that, just in terms of like in-game stuff that can happen there. To me, at this point in the year, I just don't think, especially with the over-unders, you're getting much edge either way. I'd rather try and pick apart the teams and take a side.
Okay. Anything you like in the props department right now, Fryer? Does anything stand out to you, or is it too early?
Yeah, no, there are two. I mean, honestly, when it comes to quarterbacks, I mean, just in general this season, I've been leaning on more unders as things have kind of gone along, and I feel like it's happening more so with quarterbacks than anything else this year. Honestly, in this weekend, I look at all four of them, I'm like, I could see the under hitting with each of these guys. I mean, like I went with Burrow last week, and that hit the under hit in that one as well. I felt like that one was a little bit easier because of the defense he was going against. It was right around this same number that he's at now. And obviously then you had the snow factored into things too. Still obviously effective game. So he can still do that here. He's probably the number 4 on my list in that regard. But still, like I know Jeff was breaking it down earlier, I'm leaning more towards the under than the over in that spot. With these two guys, Hurts and Purdy, I also lean there as well. I don't think I'm going to back both when it comes time to write these up. I still don't know who I want to go with. So Hurts is at 247.5. Purdy is at 220.5. I'm inclined to go with Purdy. Obviously a significantly lower number, but I mean, only 14 quarterbacks went under this number against Philadelphia this season. And then when you look at Purdy, including his first full game, which he did start, he's gone under this number in 5 of 8 games. The under for him on the season is 4-3. Obviously not always offered on DraftKings Sportsbook for me. I think it's just that one game that he didn't start, obviously wouldn't have been there. But everything's pointing to leaning me to go towards the under. And there's obviously my gut coming out of this too, thinking we're talking about, just this is a very good defense that he's going to be going up against. He has a lot of weapons around him. And I know Christian McCaffrey, there's concerns about his calf and how effective he's going to be. That can, as much as that can impact the running game, we can also see that impact the pass attack too. So no matter what, I like the Purdy one a lot. I think the Hurts one is very justifiable too, though. Like the under, he's gone under this number in 11 of 16 games, 7 of his last 9, 3 of his last 5. I know that opposing quarterbacks have gone under this number in I think it was 10 games for them this season. So it's not like they're shutting down every single quarterback that they see, but when we know the shoulder issue that is there, and if that pulls them out of the game for any stretch of time, I might talk myself actually into backing both of these here. I think it's realistic. I like them both.
I mean, that shoulder looked pretty good last week. And I'm glad you mentioned Christian McCaffrey as an anytime touchdown scorer, -120. Everyone else is plus money, Jeff, including Jalen Hurts, who we know is always a threat to reach the end zone, for crying out loud, especially with his leg scoring 13 rushing touchdowns this season.
Yeah. I think Nick did a really good breakdown of the unders. I agree pretty much exactly with what he said. I like the unders on both. I like the under on Purdy more. But there's a lot of scenarios where Hurts goes under just because maybe the Eagles defense is so dominant. They just don't have to throw the ball much, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, let's look at the touchdown department. It's pretty interesting. McCaffrey scored a bunch. You've got Elijah Mitchell, I think is worth, I mean, he's banged up too, but Shanahan said he's going to play really early in the week. So it's not that big a deal. He's been getting red zone touches. I think Elijah Mitchell at 290 is actually worth a look here. I mean, I do think San Francisco is going to score, potentially 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't think that just asking Philly to shut them down for the whole game is probably a little bit too much. So I think 290 is actually pretty nice there. Kittle is interesting. Certainly in the middle of the field is where you want to attack. And I'm almost surprised that we're getting 165 versus, well, I shouldn't say surprised. They're the underdogs. It maybe feels a little bit big. He is shorter than Devonta Smith though. And Dallas Goedert now. So Elijah Mitchell to me is worth a little play. I don't hate that. If you're looking for I think where I would lean though is really on the Eagles props. The wide receivers have typically killed. I think you're getting nice money on Devonta Smith this week. Wide receivers against San Francisco have been really, really solid bets, really solid plays. We just saw CeeDee Lamb go for a bunch of yards. He didn't get into the end zone, but the plays will be there. I think what Smith's done, a 175, pretty significant gap between him and AJ Brown. And I don't really even hate AJ Brown. AJ Brown probably does have more touchdown upside and deserves to be the favorite there, but either one of them, I think one of those guys find the end zone. So you could even look to play them both. I mean, probably don't have to do that in the touchdown department. We don't have big enough odds to do that, but I really don't hate either one or the other, especially if you're looking for same game parlays to put together, something like that, including one of those guys makes sense to me.
I mean, Devontae Smith's a good call because like he's become one of Hurts's go-to guys towards the end of this like regular season. He's averaged 7.5 catches per game his last 4 contests during that stretch. He's hauled in 3 total touchdowns. That includes 1 against the Cowboys just last week in the divisional round. So he's looking his way a lot right now.
I wish we were getting plus 150 on AJ Brown to get a touchdown, but yeah, I think Smith is a better target in like the yardage department, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's a pretty good gap we're getting here.
Anything else you guys have from this game before I let Nick Fryer here tee off on the Baseball Hall of Fame in the closing minutes of this show?
Oh, then I'm going to make this really quick. You brought up how Hurts' arm looked good last week and everything. 6 of 24, like where he's had 30 passing attempts in like the previous 4 or 5 games that he played in, and in only 154 yards. So yeah, maybe he has those moments, but also he was coming off of a rest week, and that to me, and then he'd been out for a bit, but whatever. But like you get my point. Like he's still, I don't trust that he's fully at 100%. So, and there's a reason.
There's no way in hell he is. Yeah.
Yes. No. So there's a reason this number's so low. And even when you look at the 49ers, like it's not like they overwhelmingly shut down every quarterback that they saw throughout the course of the season. Half the guys they saw went over this number. They didn't face like the best quarterback every week. So honestly, I was talking to myself more and more into liking that one more, but I just wanted to close out on that one.
All right. Scott Rowland was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Not inducted. He was voted into it last night. So he's going to join Fred McGriff. It's a 2-man class. McGriff was voted in by the Contemporary Era Committee back in December. So what was your reaction? Was he, I can't remember, was he on your Sweat Hall of Fame ballot? Oh, he was? Okay.
He was, yes. And I filled out the full 10 guys. And the thing that, and I appreciate you giving me a moment for this, because Lord knows I didn't talk about it enough the other day when we were talking about my ballot. But the thing I'm most annoyed about with the rhetoric around the Hall of Fame is everybody's like, oh, it's the Hall of Very Good. And, if you feel like it's been like that all the time, then I don't know what to tell you. That's just not true at all. If you want to say it's that way now, my argument is, well, if you're not okay with putting the PED guys in, then fine. Then obviously you need to adjust some things and you feel like no one should get in or whatever. Okay. But if you also think that like Manny and A-Rod and Barry Bonds and Clemens, who I am fine with those guys going in, I have accepted that. I had an issue with a long time ago. If you're fine with them going in, you need to go and back the guys who didn't use PEDs, were never connected to them, at least, like a Scott Rowland, like a Torrey Hunter, because yes, do you want to say they were very good? Maybe if they were playing in the 80s, sure. But they're going up against a lot of people who had an unfair advantage, and they still put up really good numbers. And those 2 guys in particular were like perennial Gold Glove winners. So, and I mean, Torrey Hunter's like everybody can say Andrew Jones, but Torrey Hunter just the same in terms of defense. For me, even more so. So you want to say it's very good, the Hall very good. Well, just think about it. If you're okay with those PED guys, you have to give leeway to the guys who were playing who had an unfair disadvantage.
Yeah, Jeff, you a baseball guy like it all?
Yeah, a little bit for sure.
I mean, just listen, I tweeted this out yesterday. I said, if someone made a not in the Hall of Fame exhibit because of steroids and character, character clause, it would be so much better in the actual Hall of Fame, because the steroid era in baseball was the absolute best. And I truly believe this. Yeah. I truly believe if writers who covered those guys and benefited from them are refusing to vote them in, those writers are frauds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm of 2 minds. Like, I don't disagree. Like, baseball put himself in a spot where, like, leaving them out and just like pretending they don't exist. Yeah, it's like they can't do that. At the same time, like, I do always question why people are so apt to get behind like Barry Bonds. Like,
because he hit more home runs than any other human being in baseball.
He's also a big loser who like injected himself with steroids. Like, I don't really care that Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame and these guys. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you can't tell the history of baseball without Barry Bonds.
Yeah, no, and you're right, and you're not wrong, but that doesn't mean he needs to be in the Hall of Fame either. That he should be rewarded. Like if he was in the Hall of Fame, great. Like I understand. Let's just do it. But like the fact that everyone gets so worked up about it, I mean. Like,
I'm just like, just put him in there. Come on.
Well, Jeff, it does feel in some ways like by not having him or Manny or Clemens, just like we're just trying to be like, oh no, this era.
No, I agree. Like that's like I am legitimately conflicted about this argument, because I agree it's stupid to like pretend these guys don't exist, or like take like a select group from that era and be like, well, these guys suck, when realistically there's probably 10 other people in the Hall of Fame who like, you know,
oh my
who
God,
stand
there are
part of it.
alcoholics, there are wife beaters, there are drug abusers,
Totally.
there are every single person you could
But-
think of, like bad person, is in there
But
already.
it just feels like it's so weird when you get people defending and be like, well, Barry Bonds needs to be in there. Like, I don't know. Like, why?
I don't know, man.
Well, you don't need to defend Barry Bonds. Like, anyways, but yeah, the
Okay.
easiest thing for them to do is, you're right, Emerson, is put them all in and make like a section of, okay, this person did this, and you know, he was this. They need asterisks basically, and it's really
That's
not that
it.
bad.
Like,
I think it's a good.
and
I
that's-
actually think it. You know what? I'm going to give this like the first time ever since we were. I actually think it's a brilliant idea by you, my friend, and I think that is how I would probably handle it, because you can't just pretend these guys don't exist.
Yeah,
And they should have some kind of asterisks by them. Again, like Barry Bonds was out there like doing, putting like, you know, doing God knows what.
Yeah,
They should have.
I'm
an
just
asterisk.
like,
It's not that big a
Jeff,
deal.
like if nothing changes, like you're gonna have to explain to like your kids one day, to younger generations, why several players like atop the all-time like leaderboards are nowhere to be found in this.
I mean, I won't have to explain to my
sanctimonious
kids because they
museum.
don't care about baseball. But yes, other people. I
All
will
right.
explain to other people's kids who Barry Bonds was. You're right.
Yeah,
I'll have to do
yeah.
that.
Okay, we have to go because there's a huge AFC South matchup coming up on at 6:00 for Madden. That is
wow.
the Colts. That's the Colts against America's team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
A little
Baby.
Nick Foles revenge game, maybe? Is he going to get the
Yeah.
start? I wonder.
I have no freaking clue. Nick Fryer, love you. Jeff, love you. Eamon, Andrew, love you guys too. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time for a Thirsty Thursday edition of The Sweat.